So we'll take Mike from Central States.
I'd like to go over a couple things today. First of all, I want to address the pink elephant in the room about the future of the Central States Pension Fund. We'll touch on that real briefly, and some of it was already discussed previously. And then I'm going to get into the retirement process, and then the retiree health care coverage for those who are in the Central States Health Plan, which includes the UPS part-timers. UPS full-timers, you're under the local union plan, and Wilson McShane will be up afterwards to explain.
If there are any full-timers in North Dakota, on the western side of North Dakota, will be on the team care.
Excellent. So I just want to explain the Central States Pension Fund, the why and how we got into the situation we're in. Just to show you some numbers real quick, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because it is what it is, and you guys have heard about it in the reading newspapers and on the news. But in 1980, Central States had almost 12,000 employers. Today, that number is down to 1,200. We had at one point almost 400,000 members active. Today, that number, it says 56,000. But due to recent withdrawals, it's down to 52,000. Our retirees from 1980 of 94,000, today we're over 200,000 retirees. So you don't have to do the math to realize that Central States is a failing pension fund. And we joined a host of other failing pension plans as well. You know, they say there's misery in company. Well, there's plenty of company with some of these failing plans, a number of which are Teamster plans, but a number of which are other unions as well. There's over 100 multi-employer pension plans covering 1.5 million workers, just like you, in plans that are going to fail within the next 10 years. So where we're at today, as of June 30th, Central States is over $13 billion in our assets to pay future benefits. To equate contributions coming in to benefits going out, every day Central States pays $5.7 million more in benefits. Not every month, every day. Central States pays $5.7 million more in benefits than the contributions we receive. So you don't have to be a genius to figure out that time is running out. A solution from Congress is needed. Our projection is that by 2025, without a solution from Congress, Central States assets will be completely depleted. With that being said, there is work being done in Congress today. We actually started looking for a legislative solution about 12 years ago with the Pomeroy-Casey Act, which represents a bipartisan bill during the early stages of the Democrats owning the House, the Senate, and the White House, and couldn't get the bill passed. Today, the Rehabilitation for Multi-Employer Pensions Act, H.R. 397, also known as the Butch-Lewis Act, that has passed the House of Representatives. It is next step, of course, for it to become law is to pass the Senate, which is a lot easier said than done. I don't think I have to say this, but the politics today is quite polarizing. There's not a whole lot of bills on anything, regardless of what the issue is, that have bipartisan support and are getting through Congress. But this is the closest we've been to having a legislative solution. There is a Senate working committee with representatives, senators from Iowa, Grassley, along with Portman, and the other senator from Ohio. They are working together to come up with a solution. It probably will not be the Butch-Lewis Act, but they're hopeful that they can put together a solution that will eventually get through to the White House. Time is of the essence because every year that goes on, it's going to be more of a loan that's needed or a bailout that's needed for the pension fund. So that's all the good news. So let's move on to everything else. So on the Central States pension side, if there's one thing that I would suggest for those people who aren't UPS but who are in the Central States pension, and that is to file your application early. As was presented earlier, if you're in UPS, 30 to 90 days, you can go online and use the program that was explained earlier to file your application. If you're not in UPS, we ask for about 90 to 180 days for you to file your application. With that, no different than what the UPS presenter mentioned, and that is you're going to have to submit legal documents. You're going to have to make a decision on your joint survivor option. If you're married, that's either our 50% joint survivor or the 75% joint survivor option. And finally, you're going to need to name a retirement date. For those people who are not in UPS and you want to file your application, if you're not sure of your retirement date, just submit the application subject to approval. We do have a website where you can get the information. You can pull up our benefit application. Again, this is not for the UPS guys. The UPS guys will file their applications through the process that was covered previously. For the non-UPS guys, you can pick up your benefit applications on our website. And for the non-UPS guys, there's also a benefit estimator where you can calculate your benefit. UPS guys will follow the process that was discussed earlier. So the pension application on the Central States side is very simple. You can fill it out online and submit it, but you're also no different than what the gentleman said earlier. You're also going to need to mail the copy to us so that we have a copy of your signature on file. One of the questions that was asked earlier is around the pop-up or the 100% coverage if Central States goes out. And the answer was, well, you may not get dollar for dollar, and there may be a difference. And part of the reason where the differences come in between the UPS plan and the Central States plan is our calculation of the survivor option. They have one set of figures that actuarially they use to determine the survivor option benefit. We have a second set of figures. So where the discussion was, you're getting $600 from us, Central States goes out of business, and UPS is supposed to pay the difference, and you only get $595. It's primarily because of this reason, where the actuarial figure on the survivor benefit is different. Put it bluntly, if you take the joint 50% option, meaning your spouse gets half of your pension, that'll cost less than if you take the 75% option. I had a couple questions earlier on this. If you're taking the 75% option, that will cost the member a little bit more, primarily because the spouse is going to get 3/4 of the benefit versus half of the benefit. Shifting to healthcare, it is comparing apples to oranges. The Team Care Health Fund is where the part-time retirees get their active benefits and will get their retiree benefits, is in financial strain. It has about $7 billion in net assets. So for the UPS guys under our health plan, the earliest age to get the retiree health plan benefit is age 55. Retiree coverage is provided to you, your spouse, and if you have dependent children between the ages of 19 to 25, we will cover them if they are a student. And your retiree coverage plan includes medical, prescription, dental, and vision.
So if I opt up, I'm retired, and I go on this,
Yep.
I'm a year older than he is. So what happens for that year when I qualify for Medicare, he doesn't?
Good question. So the question was, if you have a younger spouse, so in this case, there's a year difference. The member is going to be 65, but the spouse is only going to be 64. We will cover the younger spouse, until they turn 65 or Medicare. And I'll explain that. And I'll take that a step further. So for the guys retiring who are 60 and your spouse is 25, you're probably not worried about retiree coverage. UPS will notify us when you retire. So you'll go through the process on the UPS system. And when you name a retirement date, UPS will tell Central States that, and we will start you and your spouse on the retiree health plan immediately. And then what we'll do is send you a letter simultaneously that says if for some reason you don't want the retiree health plan, to fill out the form, send it back to us, and then we'll stop the health plan. So we used to send you out the form, have it completed, and literally 99% of you were taking the coverage, so now we just start it automatically. And that will be for you and your spouse, and if you have kids, they'll be covered as well. For our non-UPS guys, the requirements are very similar with a couple exceptions. The retiree health plan for UPS is called Plan RU and RV. They're the exact same plan. RU is for our full-time guys in North Dakota. RV is for all of the part-time guys in our plan. R4 is for non-UPSers. Under the R4 benefit, you have to be age 57. There is a monthly contribution that is based on your age at retirement. And you're not eligible for the retiree plan if you're Medicare eligible. So figure out what it's going to cost you out of your pension check for retiree coverage. UPS retirees age 55 and older. The cost under this contract is $200 for one person, $400 for the family. So going back to that example of the younger spouse, they'll begin out at $400, and then when the member hits age 65 and goes on Medicare, and there's only one person covered, that gets reduced down to $200. For the non-UPS people, the cost is here. It's $501 per person for the R4 plan. And as you can see, the longer you wait to retire, the cost is adjusted accordingly. This is not for UPS, this is for any of the other Central States Team Care participants. So going back, UPS, $200, $400 under this contract. One of the questions I get a lot is, will this rate continue to increase while you retire? And so I literally put up the amounts that it was prior to this past contract, where it started when UPS part-timers joined Team Care. It was $100, $200, and literally through 2023. I don't know what that number will be in 2024. I do know it's a very important number to the Teamsters when they negotiate this contract with UPS, but at least it's locked in for 5 years under this contract. The benefit plan for RU and RV, so this is for our UPS guys. The benefit plan is different than your active plan. And so this is very important. Under the plan, the retiree plan, there is an annual maximum of $250,000 per person per year, and that renews every year. Now that benefit was when UPS first came over to Team Care. That benefit was $150,000. Our trustees increased it to $200,000. And then January 1st of this year, they increased it to $250,000. To give you an example, because one of the concerns that I know people have is what happens if I exceed the $250,000? Or is there a supplement that we can buy to protect ourselves above the $250,000? In all honesty, we had 12 UPS guys last year. I shouldn't say UPS, we had 12 people in our retiree plan out of 11,000 that went over the $250,000 cap. And they're able to renew again in January with a new $250,000 cap. We do not offer a supplement to make up the difference. There are other plans out there that you may want to look into on the healthcare exchanges through the Affordable Care Act. So we have seen some UPS guys go onto the Affordable Care Act and buy a higher deductible health plan that does not have an annual maximum. And they take that instead of our retiree plan. But I can tell you, under our retiree plan, again, out of 11,000, we only had 12 that exceeded the 250,000. Prior to Team Care, the UPS plan for the part-time guys, the UPS retiree plan had a $500,000 lifetime benefit. Our benefit plan, our trustees continue to look at that annual max. And like I said, we just increased it 50,000 this year, and they'll continue to look at it as years go on. Your deductible under the retiree plan is less than your active plan. It's only $100, $200. Your annual out-of-pocket remains the same. The networks all remain the same. Medical office visits, $20 copays. That's a little bit different for the part-time guys. I think you have a $10 copay today. So that goes up to $20. And then it's simply an 80-20 plan. Everything is covered by the fund at 80%. When your 20% add up to $1,000, the plan goes to full at 100%. Prescription benefit, same as your active plan. Your dental benefit under the retiree plan is $1,500 per person per year. And your vision benefit is exactly the same. Same network, same benefits. You're able to get a new pair of glasses once every 12 months or a new set of contacts once every 12 months. You can go onto our website, myteamcare.org, and look up the RU and RV plan, and you can pull what we call the plan benefit profile that will give you more information. But in a nutshell, it's an 80-20 plan. Your exposure on the plan is $1,000. So if you go in for open heart surgery and it's $100,000, we're going to pay 20%. We're going to pay 80%. You're going to pay 20% up to $1,000, and then the plan will pay everything after that at 100%. So I'll open the floor for questions in a second, but I wanted to give you some information of who to contact if you do have any questions either on our portion of the pension side or the retiree side. Pretty simple, 1-800-TEAM-CARE. You'll get through to a benefits specialist. This is who I am, so that if you do have any questions, you can see me afterwards or feel free to reach out to me next week. Email is the best way to reach me because I am on the road quite a bit. But with that being said, let me open the floor for any questions you might have.
All right, you broke down the part-timers
Yeah.
benefit?
Yep.
What about the full-timers?
There's a gentleman coming on right after me.
All right.
I'm his warm-up act, and he'll be on right after me to give you the news on the full-time.
So earlier
Yeah.
you only have to be as 55 years of age. There is no number of years of service.
There is. With the UPS plan, it's 20 years of service and 55 for the part-time guys. Full-time is different, so if you're full-time now and you're not in Team Care, I don't want to steal their thunder, but theirs is different and is probably more generous than the part-time under our plan. Sir?
I'm with UPS Cartage Services, and we're covered under Team Care as full-time employees. Do we get retirement?
You do, yeah. So I look to Trevor. UPS Cartage Services are in Team Care, full-time. So yeah, the only difference is the same plan, it's the same cost. The only difference is for full-time guys under UPS, it's an age 52 minimum age to retire at. So it's a little bit better, but everything else is exactly the same. So the cost is $200, $400. The plan is the same plan. You have dental, vision, cover the kids till 25. But you can go at age 52 where a part-timer has to wait till 55. Yeah. Great question. So the question was, can you still visit the same doctor and dentist offices that you had when you were active? And the answer is yes. It's the exact same network. So for those in Team Care, it's the Blue Cross and Blue Shield network. You can continue to see them. If you like your dentist, you can continue to see them. The prescription network is exactly the same. There's no difference. If you're filling your prescriptions at CVS, you can continue to fill your prescriptions at CVS. So the networks all remain exactly the same. I will tell those people who are in Team Care today, we do have a new benefit that will be coming out January 1st. It's called Teledoc. It is a telephone service where you can call a doctor. Either through your smartphone, your computer, you can reach out to a doctor and get a visit. It'll work great for your children who might have a fever. You might not be feeling well and you think you need an antibiotic and you just want to talk to a doctor. If you're on the road, it'll work. You'll talk directly with doctors from your state, so you're not calling India or overseas and talking to a doctor over there. These are board certified doctors in your state, and it will be at no cost. So where today you have a $20 office visit or a $10 office visit to see a doctor, under Teledoc, if you prefer to pick up the phone, one of the things we're trying to do is, again, is try to get people that get care in the right setting. All too often our young part-time UPS guys get sick and they just run to the ER. And it costs them money and it costs the fund money, when literally they can go to a minute clinic. And if you're having a heart attack, you're going to the hospital. So we're seeing, people with 100-degree fevers run into the ER, and of course that's going to cost the member money and the fund more money. So Teledoc, you'll be receiving information that'll be both for the actives and the retirees. It'll just be a new added benefit. Great question, thank you. Question was if they retire after age 65, so they're already on Medicare or eligible for Medicare when they retire, do they use this and Medicare? The answer is no. When you go on Medicare, this goes away. So once you're Medicare eligible, because it's not always means 65, if you're off on a disability, Social Security disability, you may get Medicare earlier than age 65. But once you're eligible for Medicare, then the retiree health plan under Team Care goes away. So that's for, again, the part-time guys, full-time North Dakota CSI guys. The Wilson McShane will talk about their post-65 benefit. Now, we will send you information if you're in Team Care and you go on Medicare. We will send you information about a team, we call it Team Care Advantage. It's a Medicare supplement under Humana. It's typically not a Team Care benefit. It's not paid for by Team Care, but it does give you a reduced monthly coinsurance for that benefit. So you will get information from Team Care on this Medicare Advantage program from Humana. As I told another couple, when you start turning 65, you're going to be receiving this stuff from everybody and their brother. Everyone's going to want to sell you a supplement. And it's pretty easy because you can compare those supplements literally side by side. For the most part, they're offering you the same, and literally it comes down to the cost of what you're going to get. So you will get something from Team Care. It's called Team Care Advantage through Humana. Again, that's your decision if you want to take that post-65, and then you'll deal directly with Humana on that. Other questions you might have? It's always great to go right after lunch because you're all tired and quiet and full. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.